Hello, welcome back to yet another video. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please smash the button. It helps me out so much. We're at 97 amazing human beings have subscribed to the channel, so we got 3 more and then we've hit that goal. So today I'm talking about this new model that was previewed on Warhammer Community that actually has me really excited. So for this, it's lead your Easterlings to certain victory with the awe-inspiring Dragon Emperor of Rhun. And this model, oh my god, this model is so cool, and it has all the things going for it. Like the Easterlings, the detail on the armor, which it may just be spike armor, but it's just with all of them protruding out, if that makes sense, instead of being a flat panel that has like carved into it the module lines to mimic this actual armor. It's perfect. It's the eyes inside the helmets is amazing. And let's talk about this. It's crazy to see this style in Lord of the Rings. It's amazing. Like the palanquin is perfect. The dragon head's on it. The helmet that he's got is so cool. I saw this yesterday and I was really excited to make this video because if you've seen the miniature model games video that I made about different gaming systems that I'd like to get into, Lord of the Rings was a game I used to play. I had a full Uruk-hai army, painted, done, that I used to play, and I loved Lord of the Rings. It was fun. But after that got tossed, I never got back into it. The 2 friends that I had that played Lord of the Rings, after high school, I kind of lost touch with them. And I don't have anyone that I know that has any Lord of the Rings models or that plays. But this is the temptation, I think, that'll get me to do something in Lord of the Rings just because I love this model so much. It is crazy. Like, it just like ignites a passion for Lord of the Rings that I've kind of forgotten, where it's funny with the movies and then they have the Amazon show coming out now as well. But with kind of newer Lord of the Rings stuff where you're like, oh man, Lord of the Rings is the coolest, right? It's so much fun to have new stuff coming out that you haven't seen before. And here he is separate, so not on the palanquin, and it's just, wow. Right? Like it's funny with the scaling where I've been saying it's a little bit too small, and I still think that. I still think they could have, like, with the creep that's occurring with models increasing in size a little bit, I think that in general it's good. I think that I like the size of the models now. Like the Primaris Marines versus old Marines is a good example where some people are still, the old Marines are better. I was like, I don't think so, even in terms of size, where if they didn't have the storyline of whatever, of how they were created, but if they'd scaled those Marines up to that size, been like, this is what they're meant to be, but obviously, you know, times have changed. We now can make these things. But with this, it's just like, oh man, it makes you, I'm going to rewatch the movies this upcoming week at some point, because I'm like, oh man, Easterlings. But it's funny with stuff that you don't see in the movies where there's this expansive universe that, you know, like in the Simulacrum, I did not say that word right. In the extra book that Tolkien wrote that I haven't read that I actually want to get, Simulacrum, it's some word like that. It goes over a lot of the other areas, and I've heard, so like there's a lot of Lord of the Rings content being produced now with the new show coming out. And people were saying that the 2 blue wizards were actually in the East with them, and they were teaching them magic, and that they had, one of them had turned to Sauron and the other one didn't, and they end up fighting and killing each other, was the story that I had heard. And that's what happened with the blue wizards, which I was like, that's great. That's let's see that. I want to see that movie. But anyways, in terms of this model, I just think it's honestly perfect. It's like, there's nothing on here where I'm like, you know what, this could be changed or this. I want to paint this model. It's got me so excited to pick this up. But on the back end, right? Let's talk about some negatives here. This model, when you see it, it's on Warhammer Community. My first thought is, oh, okay, so Games Workshop, Lord of the Rings stuff. False. This model will most likely, like, I don't think it says on here specifically, but be brought out by Forge World and not by Games Workshop. So I've got Forge World open here beside, again, oh man, this model's so cool. So here, so here's some of the newer characters and models that have been brought out. So we're also waiting for the Black Guard models, which were previewed a while ago. They haven't come out yet, but I believe it's a 6-man squad. They should probably slot in right here. I'm assuming that they will also be Forge World models. And when looking at the pricing of this, you've got $45 for these 2 heroes and $40.50 for 3 of these acolytes. And it's just like, because if I was to do this, right? Okay, if I was to do this, I would want 2 sets of the acolytes, so you have 6. And already we're getting into $126. 40. No, yeah, that was right. $126 plus tax. I math. And when you're looking at other like Lord of the Rings models for what the Dragon Emperor will probably cost, you can go into, I think it's in the character series. So in here, you can see like he's a big model that's being carried by other models. I think that these prices are fairly representative of what the Dragon Emperor will be. I'm going to say $100. I'm going to say like $99, $98, I think. So for these things, we're up to it'll probably be $250, $260 for me to buy. Like, even though it is, I guess it's an unmounted one, and then the mounted is a full scene with people carrying it. But we'll still call the Dragon Emperor 2 models, right? So for $250, $260, I would get 10 models for Easterlings. That's a lot for that amount of models. Like that's the cost of Series 2 3D printers now, and I just found this out. There's a rebate on Amazon, and you can get one for $200. You can get a 3D printer for $200, right? That's less. And it's just crazy to me where the minute I saw the Dragon Emperor, I was like, I have to do Easterlings. But if you go into the Games Workshop side, like here, you've got kind of almost comparable with the 45 where I'm like, oh, okay. Because at first I was like, oh, this is Forge World pricing. But with the recent price increases where Lord of the Rings prices went up, and then with the 5% increase that just happened again, because you can see that these, like, this must have been like $50 or like 48 or something, or 50. But this is kind of semi-expensive to get into Lord of the Rings as well, where like in the grand scheme of things, it would probably be like, if I did the Forge World stuff, it would probably be $500-$600 to get a full Easterlings force, and that doesn't include the Lord of the Rings book either. But I don't know. I'm gonna feel it out. I think I may, in the interim, purchase one of these 2 boxes, and then cut myself off hard. Where it's like, I'm not gonna buy a whole Easterlings army. I'm gonna get one thing and paint it up. And I've been thinking maybe I'll get the Warriors. Right? It's a bunch of models. It'll give me some Easterlings to paint to see if I'm actually into it. And these models are cool. It's Easterlings from the movie. But you can see here what I'm talking about with that the paneling here, where the new models, especially ones from Forge World, they have, it feels more 3D and more dynamic with the armor, where this is more kind of flat armor that's had the grooves just carved into it instead of them coming out. Like, you can still get the gist of the armor, but these are a huge step down from the new ones that are being made from Forge World. Like, even here, you can see this on the caster, right, where it's actually coming out. Here, it's actually coming off, and then these ones are even more pronounced on here. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of this model. Does this make you want to get some Lord of the Rings stuff? Are you going to start an Easterlings army? It's tough because it's just when you're tossing around cost and everything else, it's getting into a new army seems pretty daunting even for me. But I do love this model. I think that this is an insane thing to show for Lord of the Rings. You're like, wait, what? Because when you first see it, obviously it's Easterlings, but it just, like, you could even use this for conversions for crazy stuff. Like, this could be used for a noble for an imperial world. You could throw this into 40K for like a chaos regent. But this is just, I'm spitballing here. I just saw this model. But again, let me know in the comments. I'll be having a lot of videos coming out this week again, so stay tuned. I'll talk to everybody soon.